The days of the good girls finishing last are officially over. In this video, we are going to talk about the good girl narrative and how sometimes it actually causes more harm than good. For those who don't know me, I'm Imani, and I believe that when you show up as the best version of yourself, you are then able to show up for your family, for your friends, for your coworkers, for your community, for the world, and we all benefit from it. So let's get into this video. Now, before we get into what the good girl narrative even is, I want to preface by saying that you should not be good or getting into this good girl narrative doesn't mean that you then go and turn and be bad. It doesn't mean that you treat people horribly and you don't show up for yourself. If anything, this is about showing up for yourself. It's about challenging your current limits. It's about pushing beyond those and truly showing up, right, as the person that you came here to be. And so when you think about someone who is a good girl, you think about someone who's responsible. They are someone who never really gets in trouble. It's very rare for them. They also always seem to be in control of their emotions. They never get angry or upset. And some people may call them perfect. Now that I'm thinking about it, they also might just be an eldest daughter, but that's neither here or there. What may seem at the surface level as a non-issue, when you dig deeper and let these different narratives continue to play out without making sure that there are boundaries around them, is when it starts to get a little dangerous. And so let's start with responsibility. Now, usually when people are painted as the good girl, it's not something that they just so happen to start getting. It's something that they probably had their entire life. So even in their childhood, they were someone that was seen as, that's a good girl right there. She's good. She always does what we need her to do. She's always available. She's always there. She's ahead of everyone in her class, type of thing. And so we think about this good girl. And what we know about children, what we know about humans just in general, is that humans want to feel seen. They want to be heard and they want to be loved. That is something that every human wants and craves just at a basic level. And so as a child, when you are seen as responsible, when you are seen as a child that can be depended on, then people look towards you. And it's a feeling that feels good, right? To feel as if people see you, to feel as if people hear you, to feel responsible, to feel as if you are doing something, even if it's something as simple as being the line leader, or having whatever responsibilities that you have in the classroom. And so keeping that in mind, what happens is that they take on this narrative of being responsible. It's really twofold, right? So on one hand, you can be responsible, which is great. And what happens is that the person that always seems to be responsible is the person that you're always going to look at. So you are seen as a person that is always going to show up. So people are always going to look towards you. Now, something unique about this is when people continue to look towards you, kind of expect it. But if you haven't set up boundaries, then people can start to expect too much from you, and when you are doing too many things, to where you are neglecting your own self-care, where you are neglecting how you need to be responsible to yourself. And it's not something that's so much on the other person. It's about making sure that you have the tools and you've taken time to define what it is that you can actually take on. The other right side of that is when you are seen as someone who is responsible and always getting things done, people do not check in on you as often because you're always good. You're always good. And so what you have to do is really create space for you to make sure that you are checking on yourself, but also having something that holds you accountable, whether that is a coach, whether that is a therapist, whether that is a group, right? To make sure that you are being supported. Another part of this whole good girl narrative is being able to stay out of trouble. You never rock the boat. You do what's said, and it's like you're just always good. In terms of being good and not rocking the boat, that means that sometimes you just go with the flow, even if the flow doesn't serve you, even if the boat needs to be shaken. And so sometimes when you are good, you just continue to stay where you are and really not color outside of those lines, even though that's exactly what you need to do. What may be good for someone else these rules that they put in place for someone else that serve someone else may not serve you. And really then asking yourself and getting clear on what it is that you want. And if something that is going on doesn't align with what you want or getting you closer to your goal, or it doesn't align with who you are as a person, it's okay for you to raise your hand and say, hey, this actually is wrong for me. And so I am going to rock the boat, even though it's not something that I usually do. I'm going to rock the boat today because I have to take care of myself, right? I am responsible for taking care of myself. And so this is how I will do so. You can rock the boat. Rock the boat. And then another part of the good girl narrative, they don't get angry, they don't get upset. And what may seem like them being in control of their emotions is actually them suppressing their emotions. And that is so dangerous because what I've noticed is that the people who suppress their emotions don't go anywhere. They just continue to build up over time until they absolutely explode. And then you have someone who just always seems to be calm, who always seems to be in control, having a moment, and you're like, I don't know where this came from. And it's because they've never really been able to express their emotions, because 9 times out of 10, they put the emotions of other people before themselves. They've put this perfect picture, right, of who they think they have to be or who people have expected them to be on themselves, instead of saying, hey, I don't feel the best about this. Because most people aren't taught how to manage their emotions. They're not taught how to regulate their nervous system. They do not have the tools or the resources to do so. And so until you have gotten those tools, what looks like control, which looks like management, is actually just oppression. And when you dismiss how you feel, you are actually doing more harm to yourself than good. One book I'm really enjoying right now is When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate. And through his research, he has found that 80% of autoimmune diseases happen to women. And these women have certain commonalities. So the commonalities include that they tend to put the emotions of others before themselves. They identify with duty and responsibility. They are very nice, and they see themselves responsible for how other people feel. And so how do we move forward? It's about taking time to redefine what it means to be good. And not only striving to be good, but striving to be great. Striving to be extraordinary, striving to be in your limitless and truly be the best version of yourself. That's what it's about. And knowing that the narrative that was once expected of you isn't the narrative that you have to continue to expect from yourself. You can have boundaries around your responsibilities. You can rock the boat. And what may seem as trouble to someone else is actually you showing up for yourself. And you can have emotions like anger, and you can get upset. The important part is being able to have the tools where you are able to identify how you are feeling, understand how you are feeling, acknowledge the way that you are feeling, and then releasing it in a healthy manner. That's how you move forward. Until next time, go be limitless.